All right, so this one is kind of a wild one. Another one I'm sure that you all have heard of. I wanted to touch on it for a number of reasons. I have a piece here in USA Today that gets into some of the details. It's by Lorenzo Reyes. What we know about Brett Favre and his texts in Mississippi welfare scandal. It's really fraud. Scandal's a little bit of the wrong word here, but the state of Mississippi is suing former NFL quarterback and Hall of Famer Brett Favre and others, alleging they misspent millions of dollars that had been allocated for welfare. Newly revealed text messages from 2017 indicate that former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant, who left office in 2020, was aware of the arrangement and that the money that was intended to help low-income families after being funneled through a nonprofit. It eventually went to Favre to help build a volleyball facility at the University of Southern Mississippi, the lawsuit alleges. Favre, who had God damn it. Sorry, guys, here we go. Oh, Jesus Christ. Favre, who had a storied 20-year NFL career with the Green Bay Packers, New York Jets, and others, had repeatedly denied any wrongdoing in the matter. He's a fraud, too. They link a few other things here. I wanted to show you guys the text that came out, so we're going to scroll down here until we get to the texts. Favre, if you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? New, who was a sort of a middleman here between the governor and Favre. No, we never have had that information publicized. I understand you being uneasy about that, though. Let's see what happens on Monday with the conversation with some of the folks at Southern. Maybe it will click with them. Okay. Was there more? I think there was more. Nope, maybe not. So this is acknowledgement that Favre is saying, is there any way the media can find out? So he knows that what he's doing is wrong here and is going to bring about some unwanted attention, right? And Nancy New was the sort of the in-between between Favre and Phil Bryant. She's also apparently very close with the current governor, who is trying to assist Favre here. So I wanted to bring this up for a number of reasons. First of all, in Mississippi, it is apparently quite difficult to get welfare, even for those who actually qualify or should qualify and desperately need it. Yet Favre can get millions of dollars here for a new volleyball court that his daughter wants. Okay, Favre is also, just to show how entitled this man is. Favre is worth how many millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars? He was a star quarterback in the NFL for like a decade and a half, if not more. Right? All of the sponsorships. You guys remember all the fucking, what was it, Wrangler ads, the jeans? The dude's worth a godly amount of money. He could afford a new fucking volleyball court if he wanted to buy one. If he wanted to donate to the college and have this new volleyball court that his daughter wanted, he could have just done that. But he's such an entitled piece of shit that instead he goes and takes from this public money allocated for welfare for poor people. Mississippi, one of the poorest states in the country, with some of the highest poverty levels in the country. And Favre says, yeah, fuck all of those people. My daughter wants a volleyball court that I could afford, but I'd rather not pay for. The entitlement is absurd. The other thing that really stands out to me here is the difference in treatment between Colin Kaepernick and Brett Favre. Colin Kaepernick took a knee to highlight injustice and police brutality and racism. And he was like absolutely, undoubtedly blacklisted by the NFL. That's the treatment that Favre gets. Wall-to-wall coverage criticizing him, saying that he is anti-American, saying he is disrespecting the troops, right? Coming up with absolutely any reason to go after Colin Kaepernick. I haven't seen 0.1% of the coverage and discourse about Brett Favre as I saw about Colin Kaepernick. And I think that is indicative of just how racist the NFL's fan base is, and just how indifferent that fan base is to police brutality, and just how indifferent that audience is to privilege. So, really insane story here, you guys. Favre, like that text is just so representative of the whole thing to me, where Favre is like, can the media find out I'm taking this money and how much I'm getting? I mean, it's, it the explicitness of that kind of fraud and corruption is just what really kind of stuns me a little bit. So, and of course, the other thing worth pointing out here is that the Bryants of the world, these conservatives, are such incredibly massive hypocrites. Right? They constantly bitch and moan about the racist tropes like the welfare queens. They constantly bitch and moan about government handouts and, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps nonsense. But they're perfectly willing to give someone who I have no doubt is a $100 millionaire millions of dollars for his daughter's volleyball court out of the welfare fund. That somehow is not a handout. That somehow is not like, the antithesis of a meritocracy. That somehow is just fine. Just like, corporate R&D checks and tax breaks. It's all just fine, right? Contracts that are unnecessary to the military industrial or to the military contractors and weapons manufacturers. All of that is just fine. That's not a handout, right? Bailing out banks and corporations and forgiving their debts. All of that is just totally fine and not a government handout. But somehow helping the most impoverished, struggling people in our country is a handout to these people. But Brett Favre, we can get you $5 million for your daughter's volleyball court. It's just astounding the extent of, the hypocrisy there on the right. And these stories pointed out again and again and again. And I don't understand how there are still people who cannot see that and think of the Republican Party as a working class party. So shame on Brett Favre. He should be catching, way more flack for this than Kaepernick. Kaepernick should be celebrated for what he did, not blacklisted and expelled from the sport and criticized endlessly and smeared. It's, again, the distinction is just so large there. And the difference in treatment between these individuals says a whole lot about the NFL and its fan base, and about the media and what they choose to highlight and cover and emphasize. They knew that Kaepernick was controversial in a way that could drive clicks for them and maintain viewership for them. And I think this Favre story just doesn't have that same, the racial element of Kaepernick's protest brought this sort of controversial element that I think sells media content in a way that a fraud like this, a financial fraud from Brett Favre and Phil Bryant, I don't think it has that same sparkle to the media. So there are a number of ways in which the media is obviously committing a dereliction of duty here in how they covered Kaepernick and how they covered Favre. And all of it goes to indicate just how unhealthy all of these institutions are. Shame on Brett Favre. That is beyond egregious. He should face legal consequences for that. That is fraud. And if anybody, if a poor person filled out some form requesting welfare and like exaggerated something or didn't put down some income, the state would be coming after him, right? So something as massive as this absolutely should be punished, and I hope Favre does have to face some sort of consequence for his actions here. Egregious, naked fraud, and from someone who could have just afforded to donate to the damn university for a new volleyball court if he would have chosen to do so. The entitlement is insane with these rich assholes, you guys. Insane. And of course, Favre also being a famous athlete and a celebrity, he's been pampered his entire life and told how great he is his entire life. Probably thinks he can do no wrong. All of this, again, just indicates what a sick society we all have to live in, right? Incredible story there.